You bring something up, softly, gently, trying to stay calm. And somehow you end up apologizing again. You didn't yell, you weren't cruel, but suddenly they're upset again. And now it's your fault. And you feel like you're losing your grip on reality. Your memory's unreliable. Like maybe, just maybe, it's really you. But it's not. And today, we're going to talk about what really happens when someone blames you for everything. Because this isn't just annoying, it's disorienting. And sometimes, it's emotional abuse hiding in plain sight. Let's be honest, being blamed constantly doesn't start with a screaming match. It starts with tiny moments that twist just enough to leave you doubting yourself. It doesn't go like, you're the reason that I hate myself. It's more like, you always make everything a big deal. I was fine until you brought it up. Or I wouldn't get so angry if you just said things in the right way. It sounds subtle, but suddenly turns into a version of yourself that doesn't feel real. And over time, you're not sharing your feelings, you're managing theirs. You rehearse conversations before they even happen, and you walk on eggshells even on good days. And here's what's even harder, the fact that they sound so convincing. So you start second guessing your tone and your timing and your truth. And you find yourself saying things like, maybe I was too sensitive. Or say things like, maybe I should have waited until they weren't stressed. Or saying things like, maybe it is my fault for not saying it better. And what's happening is that you're internalizing the blame. And the reason you're internalizing the blame is because it's what you've been trained to do. And when that becomes the norm, you're no longer in a relationship. You're in an emotional hostage situation with good moments sprinkled in to keep you hooked. And here's a piece that people don't talk about. Blame isn't always about power. Sometimes blame is about protection. When someone constantly blames others, they're often trying to protect something fragile inside of them, like shame, fear, or inadequacy. And what they learned early on was that being at fault equaled for them that they were not safe. And because of this, maybe they grew up with parents who exploded every mistake they made. Or maybe they grew up with a caregiver who only showed them love when they were good. Or maybe they grew up in an environment where being wrong meant that they were being rejected. And because of this, what happened is that they built a survival rule. And the rule was, if I'm to blame, then I'm unlovable. And now what happens is that they offload blame to avoid that unbearable feeling. So they blame you for their bad mood. They blame you for their emotional outburst. They blame you for cheating, for lying, for yelling. Because for them to take ownership would mean confronting that part of themselves that they've spent a lifetime hiding. But here's the problem. When someone offloads blame onto you, you become the container for their shame. And you're carrying what they're unwilling to hold. And that's not just unfair, that's unsustainable. And what happens is that it also trains you to distrust your own emotional reality. So I want you to know that you're not imagining it. What they're doing is rewriting the story in real time. And in their rewrite, you are always the villain. So this isn't just emotional confusion, it's nervous system chaos. And when you're repeatedly blamed, your body starts treating every conversation like a threat. So what happens is that you might freeze up during basic disagreements, apologize just to end the conversation, or go blank when somebody asks you how you feel. And when these things happen, that's not you being weak. That's your nervous system saying, we've been here before, and this place isn't safe. So even when someone new says, hey, can we talk? You might even begin to panic. And the reason for this is because your body remembers what your mind is trying to forget. Blame always eats away at self-worth. And you start asking yourself, am I the problem? Am I too emotional? Do I ruin every relationship I'm in? And what happens is that you begin to believe that you deserve it, that you deserve this treatment. And that maybe if you just tried more, or maybe if you were more patient, that they would finally see you, appreciate you, and that they would change. But here's what I need you to hear. You do not have to become invisible to be loved. You do not need to carry someone else's guilt to keep them from leaving. You do not have to keep sacrificing your peace just so someone else doesn't have to face the truth. So is it a red flag if someone blames you sometimes? No, it's not. We all mess up, we all deflect, and we all have moments of insecurity. But the real red flag is repetition without reflection. If every argument ends with you apologizing, and if they've never looked inward, and if they twist the narrative every single time, then that's not a partnership. That's protection masquerading as connection. So here's the checklist. Do they own their part even when it's hard? Do they circle back and repair when they've hurt you? Do they ever ask you, how did that feel for you? Or are they always the victim of their own story? Now I want you to remember that emotional safety isn't about never having conflict. It's about feeling safe during and after the conflict. So what's really happening under the surface when someone blames everyone else but themselves? And in our next video, we're diving deep into the avoidant attachment system and how blame becomes a defense against vulnerability. Because the person who keeps blaming you might be the one who's most afraid of being seen. So stay tuned for that deep dive.